There comes a moment in every woman's life when she realizes something painful. The more she tries to make a man miss her, the less he actually feels her absence. You text him first. You check on him. You explain yourself. You give him your attention. You make yourself available every time he calls. And then you sit there wondering why he doesn't seem to notice when you pull away. But what if the secret was never about doing more? What if the secret was knowing when to do less? Because when a man becomes accustomed to having access to your attention, your affection, your time, and your energy whenever he wants it, he can stop recognizing the value of what you give him. And the moment you stop giving it away so freely, something changes. He starts noticing the silence. He starts noticing your absence. He starts wondering what happened to the woman who used to always be there. And that is where the shift begins. Listen carefully, because this is not about playing games with a man. It is not about pretending you don't care. It is not about ignoring him just to make him desperate. And it certainly is not about manipulating somebody into chasing you. This is about something much more powerful. It is about becoming so secure in yourself that you no longer need to chase someone to feel chosen, because the woman who knows her worth does not spend her life trying to convince a man of it. She lets him experience her value. There's a difference. When you constantly reach out, constantly explain, constantly ask where you stand, constantly wonder why he has not called, you are putting your emotional peace in somebody else's hands. And the moment you take that power back, everything begins to change. You don't need to announce that you're pulling back. You don't need to send a long message saying, I'm done chasing you. You don't need to make him jealous. You don't need to post pictures hoping he'll see them. You simply start living differently. You stop making him the center of your world. You stop interrupting your peace every time his name appears on your phone. You stop asking, what can I do to make him love me? And you start asking, what kind of woman am I becoming? That question will change your life, because when your focus moves from getting his attention to building your own life, your energy changes. And people feel energy before they understand words. A woman who is constantly waiting for a man's message carries a completely different energy from a woman who is genuinely enjoying her own life. One is waiting to be chosen. The other has already chosen herself. And that difference is powerful. You have to understand something about human nature. People often recognize the value of something more clearly when they no longer have unlimited access to it. Think about it. You don't notice the quiet until the noise stops. You don't appreciate someone's presence until you experience their absence. You don't realize how much emotional comfort someone brought into your life until that comfort is no longer available every time you need it. That doesn't mean you should disappear to punish him. It means you should stop making yourself constantly available to someone who isn't making the same effort to keep you in his life. There is a huge difference between being loving and being endlessly accessible. You can love someone without chasing them. You can care about someone without abandoning yourself. You can miss someone without contacting them every time the feeling hits. And you can want a relationship without begging someone to give you one. That is where your power lives. Sometimes you don't need to say anything. Your silence can say, I respect myself too much to force something that isn't mutual. Your distance can say, I have a life beyond waiting for you. Your calmness can say, I don't need to chase what is meant to meet me halfway. And when a man has become accustomed to your constant presence, that change can make him think. He may begin asking himself questions. Why isn't she texting me? Why isn't she checking on me? Why does she seem so different? Is she moving on? Did I take her for granted? And suddenly the woman who was always trying to get his attention is no longer trying. That is when his attention may begin moving towards you. But here's the part you need to understand. Don't pull away for the purpose of getting a reaction. Pull away because you deserve peace. Because if you only become distant to make him chase you, then you are still emotionally controlled by his reaction. If he texts, you're happy. If he doesn't, you're devastated. If he calls, you feel powerful. If he doesn't, you feel rejected. That's not freedom. Real power is when you can say, I would love for him to choose me, but I will not destroy myself trying to make him. That is confidence. That is emotional maturity. That is self-respect. And sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is stop trying so hard to be attractive to somebody. Stop performing, stop proving, stop explaining, stop trying to convince. Just be. Let him experience the difference between having unlimited access to you and having to make a genuine effort to be part of your life. Because when everything is always available, people can become careless. But when something has standards, boundaries, and value, people understand they cannot treat it casually forever. Now, let me tell you something else. If he has been giving you the bare minimum, don't respond by giving him more. If he sends one text and you send 5 paragraphs, you're teaching him that he can invest very little and still receive everything. If he disappears for 3 days and you welcome him back with unlimited attention, you're teaching him that your boundaries have no consequences. If he only calls when he is bored and you immediately drop everything to talk, you're teaching him that your time belongs to him. You have to stop teaching people that they can receive premium access to you while giving you minimum effort. You are not a convenience. You are not an emotional emergency service. You are not somebody's backup plan. And you are certainly not supposed to spend your life auditioning for the role of the woman he finally decides to appreciate. No, you appreciate yourself first. You protect your time. You protect your peace. You protect your standards. And you allow his actions to reveal his intentions. That's the key. Don't listen only to what he says. Watch what he consistently does. A man who genuinely values you will not need to be manipulated into making an effort. He may be busy. He may have responsibilities. He may not communicate perfectly, but there will be consistency. There will be intention. There will be effort. And when a man wants to maintain a meaningful connection with you, you won't have to spend every night trying to decode whether he cares. You won't have to turn every text message into a psychological investigation. You won't have to wonder whether you're asking for too much when all you're asking for is basic respect and consistency. So if he starts missing you, let him. Don't rush to rescue him from the feeling. Let him feel your absence. Let him remember the conversations. Let him remember your laughter. Let him remember the way you supported him. Let him remember what it felt like to have a woman in his life who brought something meaningful into his world. Because sometimes people don't understand your value while you're standing right in front of them. Sometimes they understand it when they have to live without your presence. But remember this, your goal is not to make him suffer. Your goal is to make sure you no longer suffer trying to make him stay. There is a difference. And once you understand that difference, you stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop checking, you stop wondering, you start living. You start waking up in the morning with goals that have nothing to do with whether he called. You start taking care of yourself. You start building your confidence. You start spending time with people who make you feel valued. You start working toward the future you once postponed because you were too busy thinking about somebody else. And something beautiful happens. You become less emotionally dependent on his attention. Your smile becomes genuine again. Your confidence becomes natural again. Your energy becomes lighter. And suddenly, you realize something you should have known all along. You were never supposed to chase someone into recognizing your worth. You were supposed to recognize it yourself. Because the moment you recognize your own value, you stop negotiating against yourself. You stop accepting crumbs because you're afraid of losing the whole meal. You stop accepting inconsistency because you're afraid of being alone. You stop lowering your standards because you think somebody better may never come. And you stop confusing attention with love. That's when everything changes. He may notice. He may come closer. He may start reaching out more. He may suddenly become curious about your life. But whether he does or doesn't, you have already won something far more important. You have won yourself back. And that is the kind of transformation no man can take away from you. And once you get yourself back, you have to protect the woman you worked so hard to become. Because one of the biggest mistakes you can make is becoming strong for 3 days and then going right back to the same behavior the moment he gives you a little attention. He says, "Hey, stranger," and suddenly you forget everything. He calls late at night, you answer immediately. He says, "I miss you." And suddenly you forget that you were the one crying because he made you feel unwanted. Don't let a few words erase a pattern of behavior. Words can make you feel good for a moment. Consistency makes you feel secure. Learn the difference. If he comes back, don't punish him. Don't make him pay for every mistake just because you finally learned how to walk away. But don't hand him the same access he had before without seeing whether his behavior has changed. Let his actions speak. If he says he misses you, let him show you. If he says he wants you, let him make an effort. If he says he has changed, let time prove it. You don't have to interrogate him. You don't have to demand 100 explanations. You simply observe, because a woman who knows her worth doesn't need to chase answers. She watches behavior, and behavior always tells the truth eventually. Maybe he starts texting you more. Maybe he starts checking on you. Maybe he suddenly realizes how much he enjoyed having you around. Maybe he starts remembering the little things you used to do. Maybe he starts wondering why you're no longer available every second of the day. Let him wonder, but don't sit at home wondering about him. That's the difference. While he's wondering where you are, you should be wondering where you're going. While he's thinking about your absence, you should be thinking about your future. While he's asking himself whether you've moved on, you should be asking yourself whether you've finally moved forward. That's where your power is. You will spend enough time asking, how do I make him miss me? Ask a better question. How do I build a life I don't want to escape from? Because when you love your life, you stop desperately needing somebody else to complete it. You can want companionship without needing validation. You can want romance without losing your identity. You can love a man without making him your entire emotional world. And that kind of woman is different. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't compete for attention. She doesn't constantly compare herself to other women. She doesn't wake up every morning wondering what she needs to do to keep a man interested. She knows that the right man will appreciate what she brings. And if someone doesn't recognize it, she doesn't spend forever trying to educate him. She keeps moving. That's not arrogance. That's self-respect. And here's something that many women don't understand. Sometimes the reason he doesn't miss you isn't because you aren't valuable. It's because he hasn't experienced your absence. He knows you're always going to answer. He knows you're always going to forgive. He knows you're always going to reach out. He knows that even if he gives you nothing today, you'll still be there tomorrow. So why would he feel the urgency to change? You have to stop making your presence guaranteed to people who treat it like an option. That doesn't mean becoming cold. It means becoming intentional. Be warm, but have boundaries. Be loving, but have standards. Be available, but don't abandon your own priorities. Be understanding, but don't tolerate disrespect. Be patient, but don't wait forever for someone to decide whether you're worth choosing. Your heart deserves protection too. And sometimes protecting your heart means accepting a difficult truth. You cannot love somebody into becoming ready. You cannot care somebody into becoming consistent. You cannot text somebody into commitment. You cannot prove your value through endless giving. And you cannot force someone to miss you. But you can stop making it impossible for them to feel your absence. That's why the most powerful move is often the simplest one. Live your life. Don't announce it. Don't perform it. Don't use social media to send secret messages. Don't post pictures just because you hope he'll get jealous. Don't suddenly pretend you're the happiest woman alive. Actually become happier. Go outside. Take care of yourself. Work on your goals. Law with your friends. Ride, learn, build. Exercise, try. When you can't create something, improve your career. Take care of your appearance because you enjoy feeling good in your own skin. And most importantly, build a mind that doesn't collapse every time someone pulls away. Because the strongest woman isn't the woman who never gets hurt. She's the woman who gets hurt and still refuses to abandon herself. She can miss him and still keep moving. She can love him and still choose herself. She can hope for reconciliation and still accept reality. She can wish he would come back and still know that her life continues if he doesn't. That's strength. And when a man sees that you are no longer emotionally dependent on his attention, he may begin seeing you differently, not because you manipulated him, but because your behavior communicates something powerful. I love myself enough to walk away from what doesn't honor me. That message is louder than any speech. Now here's where you need to be careful. Don't turn self-respect into a competition. Don't start thinking, I'm going to ignore him longer than he ignored me. That's still obsession. Don't count how many hours it takes him to respond. Don't purposely wait 6 hours because he waited 6 hours. Don't calculate every move. That's not confidence. That's anxiety wearing a disguise. Real confidence doesn't need a stopwatch. You respond when you're genuinely available. You communicate when you genuinely want to communicate. You don't respond from fear. You don't withhold affection as punishment. You simply stop acting from desperation. That's the difference between playing hard to get and becoming hard to take for granted. One is an act, the other is a lifestyle. And once you adopt that lifestyle, you become much more selective about who gets access to you. You stop giving boyfriend-level energy to a man who hasn't offered you commitment. You stop giving endless emotional support to someone who only appears when he needs comfort. You stop giving your best to somebody who consistently gives you his leftovers. You stop making excuses for behavior that hurts you, because love should not require you to betray yourself. Ride that again in your heart. Love should not require you to betray yourself. You should not have to become smaller to keep someone comfortable. You should not have to silence your needs to avoid losing somebody. You should not have to accept disrespect because you're afraid that setting boundaries will make him leave. If setting a healthy boundary makes someone leave, the boundary didn't destroy the relationship. It revealed the relationship. And sometimes revelation is a blessing because the right person will not punish you for having standards. The right person will respect them. Now imagine the woman you become when you stop chasing. You wake up without checking your phone first. You don't immediately look for his name. You don't spend your morning wondering what his silence means. You have things to do. You have dreams. You have responsibilities. You have a future. And your life is moving whether he participates or not. That energy is attractive because it is real. You aren't pretending to be independent. You are becoming independent emotionally. And when he eventually reaches out, you're not answering from the place of a woman who has been waiting all day. You're answering from the place of a woman who was living. That's powerful because your attention becomes something meaningful again. Your time becomes valuable. Your presence becomes something he has to appreciate rather than assume. And if he truly cares, he'll recognize the difference. But if he doesn't, then you have your answer. And sometimes the greatest gift isn't making him miss you. It's discovering that you no longer need him to. That's when you become free. Because there is a dangerous trap in relationships. You can become so focused on whether someone wants you that you forget to ask whether you actually want the way they treat you. Think about that. You keep asking, does he miss me? But ask yourself, do I miss who I was when I was with him? Do you miss the peace? Or do you miss the potential? Do you miss the person? Or do you miss the version of him you hoped he would become? Those questions matter because sometimes you're not holding on to love. You're holding on to hope. And hope can keep you attached to something that reality has already ended. So don't just ask whether he is coming back. Ask whether what he is coming back to is worth returning to. That's maturity. That's wisdom. And that's how you stop repeating the same cycle. If he comes back, let him come back with effort. Let him come back with clarity. Let him come back with consistency. Let him come back ready to build something instead of simply looking for the comfort he once received from you. You don't need to slam the door. You simply stop holding it open with your entire body. Let him knock. Let him show intention. Let him prove through action that he understands what he almost lost. And if he doesn't knock, keep walking. Because your life is too valuable to spend standing at a door waiting for someone who may never enter. There is a whole world waiting for you. There are dreams you haven't achieved, places you haven't seen, people you haven't met, versions of yourself you haven't discovered. Don't sacrifice all of that because one person couldn't recognize your value. You are not running out of love. You are not running out of time. You are not running out of opportunities. You are simply learning to stop giving your energy to places where it isn't being returned. And that lesson will change every relationship you have. Because once you respect yourself, you teach other people how to respect you. Once you value your time, you become careful about who receives it. Once you value your attention, you stop giving it to people who only want it when it's convenient for them. Once you value your peace, you stop entertaining chaos just because it comes wrapped in attraction. And once you value your heart, you stop handing it to people who haven't shown they know how to hold it. So if you want him to miss you, don't become more available. Become more fulfilled. Don't become colder. Become stronger. Don't become manipulative. Become intentional. Don't disappear to get a reaction. Step back to get perspective. Don't try to make him afraid of losing you. Become so committed to yourself that losing yourself is what you fear most. That's the real transformation, because the woman who fears losing herself will never beg someone else to stay. She will love deeply. She will care genuinely. She will give generously, but she will never forget herself in the process. And that is the woman who becomes unforgettable, not because she played games, not because she made a man jealous, not because she mastered some secret trick, but because she brought something rare into his life: peace, confidence, warm strength, and a presence that didn't come from desperation. It came from self-respect. So let him miss you, let him remember you, let him wonder, let him realize. But while he is doing all of that, you keep become wiser, become stronger, become healthier, become happier, become more confident, become more disciplined. Become the woman who no longer needs to chase love, because she has learned how to stand firmly in her own worth. And one day you'll look back at the version of yourself who used to chase, overthink, beg, explain, and wait. And you'll wonder why you ever believed you had to earn someone's love. You didn't. You never did. Your worth was never determined by how quickly he texted you. It was never determined by whether he stayed. It was never determined by whether another woman received his attention. It was never determined by whether he missed you. Your worth existed before he met you. Your worth remains whether he stays or leaves. And once you understand that, you stop chasing people and start choosing people. You stop asking, how can I make him want me? And you start asking, does this man deserve access to me? That one question can save you years of heartbreak, because you are not here to convince somebody to love you. You are here to build a life so full of purpose, peace, confidence, and self-respect that the people who enter it understand they are receiving something valuable. And if someone walks away, let them walk. If they come back with genuine effort, watch their actions. If they don't come back, keep going, because the goal was never to make him miss you. The goal was to stop missing yourself. And when you finally stop abandoning yourself for somebody else, you become impossible to control through attention, silence, affection, or rejection. You become free. So don't chase, don't beg, don't prove, don't compete, don't manipulate live. Grow, smile, build. Love yourself so deeply that your peace becomes more important than somebody else's temporary attention. And if one day he looks around and realizes your presence is gone, let him understand what your absence means. It means the woman who once gave him endless access finally chose herself. And if he truly values you, he will not just miss your presence. He will respect it. He will pursue it. He will protect it. And he will understand that having you in his life was never something he was entitled to. It was a privilege. But whether he understands that or not, you keep moving forward, because your story does not end with whether a man misses you. Your story begins the moment you realize you are worth missing. You are worth choosing. You are worth respecting. You are worth loving. And most importantly, you are worth choosing yourself for. So walk with confidence, speak with purpose, protect your peace, keep your standards high. Let your silence be peaceful, not manipulative. Let your distance be healthy, not cruel. Let your growth be real, not performed. And never again chase somebody who has already shown you that they are comfortable watching you run after them. The right person will not need to be chased into caring. The right person will meet you. And until then, keep becoming the woman you were always meant to be. Because sometimes the most powerful way to make someone realize your value is not to convince them. It's to stop trying to convince them at all. Let your absence speak. Let your growth speak. Let your peace speak. And let your life speak louder than anything you could ever text. Because when you stop chasing, you don't lose your power. You finally discover it. And that is when everything changes. If this message inspired you, subscribe to the channel and become part of our growing community. Keep watching, keep growing, and remember, your next breakthrough could be one video away. Skoosker now, and I'll see you in the next powerful motivation.